Class, and over to you, ladies.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm Colleen Aversa with Liquitex. I'll be your moderator today, and I'm joined by artist Marla Morrison, who will be instructing you on how to paint this ornate tiled stained glass inspired artwork. Today, she'll be using Liquitex soft body acrylic paint, along with our silver and gold metallic mediums and glazing medium. So before we get started, just like Felicia mentioned, this class is being recorded. Marla's going to keep a pretty quick pace today just to make sure that we get it all on the recording so that everyone can watch it back and see all of the steps later on. So if you just hanging out with us today and watching and want to paint this another time, if you feel like you missed something while painting along, you can rewatch, as Felicia said, 24 to 48 hours. Also keep your eye on the chat throughout the class. We will be posting some links and information there that you might find helpful. And if you have any questions, just pop them on there and we'll do our best to get them answered for you. So with that said, please enjoy the class, everyone, and I'll hand it over to Marla.
Thanks, Colleen. Appreciate it. Yeah, this will be a fun project, and we're going to work at a speedy pace, but I think you guys, don't worry if you can't keep up. I think it'll be just fine. And there'll be some pause moments too while we wait for colors to dry. So it's not going to be too insane of a pace. So I think it'll be fun. And thanks so much for spending your day or part of your day with me here. It's always nice to connect with other artists and, just share about art materials. It's something I really enjoy doing. So thanks for letting me do that through this platform with you guys. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. And we'll come down here. There's
Marla, my computer decided it wants to move on its own pace. So
okay, there we go. Awesome. So a few things to point out quickly for you. On Instagram, there's some nice channels to be aware of. The brand of materials we're using today is Liquitex. And so one to follow is at Liquitex Official. This is a great site for all things Liquitex related, new products, artists who use our materials. It's a place where you'll see IG lives, which are certainly interesting, and you can learn a lot about our products there. So that's one to follow. Another is this one it's an acronym for the Fine Art Collective North America. And I'm a teaching artist for that group. And so there will be information on, different things about art materials from watercolor, oil, acrylics, and all sorts of media there. So that's something you might want to check out. And then lastly, this is my Instagram at Marla Morrison Art. If you'd like to check out my specific journey, I'd love to see you there and see what you're up to as well. And then also at the end, if there's time, I always love seeing what you guys make in the class. And another thing you can do with that is when you share it or post it, make sure you use the hashtag #MakeItWithMichaels and hashtag Michaels Classes. That way other people can see it too. And it's a nice way to connect with artists who might have done the project as well. I just think it's great as artists that we have these options to interconnect with our craft. So, all right, so this is a 9x12 canvas. This is the project we're going to be doing today. It's like a faux stained glass kind of feel. And we're using Liquitex acrylic colors and mediums. And then at the end, we'll use the Liquitex acrylic marker. So go ahead and put this aside. I'll bring it back several times for reference. And the first thing I want to do is have us get going on the background because we need a couple minutes for it to dry. So what we're going to use is the phthalo blue green shade and mixed it with a little bit of the titanium white. And I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little closer now if my phone won't drop on me. Okay. So get a little closer. So we're going to use the phthalo blue green shade. And if you look on the back of the label, you see this little open square that tells you that this is a naturally transparent color. All of the colors we're using today, except for the titanium white, are transparent, and that's how we get that stained glass look effect. But also the mediums we're going to use aid in that transparency. So this is kind of all about layering and transparency. So this is the phthalo blue soft body color, and hopefully you can see how it squeezes out. It's a very loose texture, and I probably need a little bit more for covering this. And soft body has great covering power, which is why we're going to use it to create this kind of brushy background. These tile shapes actually show the background showing through, so that we're going to cover the whole thing to do that. I added just a tiny bit of white because I wanted a contrast with the phthalo that we layer on top. So just some of our titanium white, and then I just have my well-loved palette knife that we're going to mix together, use to mix the colors together. And one trick to getting this background on your canvas is to make sure your brush is somewhat dry. This is not a time to use really thick amounts of color, partly for the effect, but also so it's going to dry in enough time for us to paint on top of it in this setting. But really, the reason I did it with a dry brush before was for that kind of brushy effect, to offer a nice contrast with the tile shapes that we're going to layer on top. So that's quickly mixed. That was probably what, a teaspoon of blue to a large pea-size amount of the white. And again, you can tweak it however you want, but I'm always going with how to kind of reproduce what, oop, that happens a lot to me. My pencils roll into my paint. But you can always tweak it however you want. If you want it a little, if you want it lighter, you can certainly do that by adding more white. Okay, so the brush we're going to use is this Liquitex Freestyle. It's a 1-inch paddle brush. This is one of my favorite go-to brushes for so many things. I have plenty of other brushes this width with a long handle, but I think for some reason when I'm using or covering a large area, I like having this shorter handle. It gets my hand closer to the surface and I have more control. So that's why I'm often going to be using this paddle size brush. And again, I haven't dipped my brush in water. It's a very dry brush that I'm putting in just a little bit of paint. We're going to start just stroking it across the surface. If you've ever done like, I don't know, faux finishing or staining, that kind of thing, I think it's similar. Think of just kind of adding the color to the surface without saturating it. If that makes sense. Okay, so we're going to put this down, and then once we get this down, we're going to add just a very thin layer of the pure phthalo on top. So you can see in here that I'm kind of scrubbing that color into the canvas. It's pre-primed, so that's good, because that gesso is going to help keep that paint sitting on top of the surface. It's not that you couldn't use raw canvas with acrylics, but I just find having a pre-primed surface or priming your own canvas is a really economical way to work, because you don't lose a lot of paint soaking into the substrate. It sits on top of that gesso, and good quality paint is, you know, one of the bigger expenses of painting, right? So we want to use good quality paint, but we want to be smart about it. Okay, so I'm not going to be too concerned. I'm not going to get it perfect because I kind of like that brushy look, and plus I'm going to cover much of this anyways, but I'll fill it in just a little bit more. And again, it's pretty dry because that's going to aid in moving on to the next step. So now I'm just scrubbing it in. All right, and now I'm going to put some more of my phthalo blue green shade out. And I'm not going to mix it with white. Probably a little bit more. So what would that be? A little more than a 1/4 teaspoon. And I don't even need to wash my brush because I don't want to add a bunch of water, but I'm just getting that phthalo right out of the container onto my brush. And now I'm thinking about getting just some darker, kind of like, I know there's something I'm thinking of. I can't think of the right name, but I keep thinking faux finish, but there's probably some other technique for this, but it's where you're layering a darker value on top, like you might do if you're doing I guess faux, like a faux wood stain, something like that. So we're just striping on this darker value blue to give contrast on top of that lighter value. And I can keep going till I think it's about where I want it. If I feel like it's too dark, I just smooth it out. And make sure I don't have a lot of excess color on there. I'm kind of thinking where my open tiles are. I might make sure I accentuate those areas a bit. And you see too, I'm using the flat edge, but if I think a tendency I have, if I really want to dig into an area of the painting, I turn it on edge. I guess I feel like that focuses the force of my brush. Sometimes I do stuff and I don't even know why I'm doing it, but it seems to work. So that's kind of one of those things where I'm turning my brush because it must be helping me get get it into the fibers of the canvas a little bit better. I'm sure a physicist or physics person would know, but it's not me. So, all right. So hopefully you can see now we've got the lighter blue with the darker blue kind of stripes on top. It's a feathered effect. And again, it's to replicate this idea in the background. Okay. So I'm going to wipe off this brush. I usually do that before I clean the larger brushes, just wipe off the paint, because then the paint can dry into the paper towel and it doesn't sully up my wash water as quickly if I wipe it off first. That's just like a little tip, because nobody, I mean, I know I don't like having to clean my wash water a bunch of times. So anything I can do to minimize that, I do it. So I'm clean off my brush with water and I'm going to set this one aside. I don't think we're going to use it for anything else at this point. So we're good with that. And now we can mix our color while we allow this to dry, because it's not going to take terribly long for it to be touch dry enough for us to paint on top. Okay. So as we look at this, we've obviously got the blue, and I'm also using a color called Quinacridone Crimson. It too, I already said it's transparent, but you can see that little white square again, hopefully. But this is quinacridone, and under this gold is quinacridone. So it's actually here more times than you might think, just based on the way it's being layered. Okay, so that's one of the colors. And then a different red we have is called Quinacridone Magenta. Sorry about that label, it's got paint on it, but it's Quinacridone Magenta, and it's more of what I'd call a blue shade red. Okay, and so that is going to be one that we use. Like here it is layered with the glazing medium, here it is directly on top of the blue, allowing that blue to show through, so it makes a kind of a more purpley color. All right, so I really tend to like the quinacridone colors. Quinacridone is just a long name for a certain pigment family that tends to be vibrant and transparent. Other companies might call them cherry red and raspberry red, or who knows, but I like how Liquitex uses the pigment names. So this is a quinacridone pigment, and that gives you some clues on how that paint's going to behave. Once you understand quinacridones tend to be transparent and vibrant, you can choose more effectively. And again, to me, that's a way to be economical when buying paint, when you know what you're actually buying. Okay. All right, so as I look at this, which one do we want to tackle first? I'm going to touch this. It seems pretty touch dry. What we can do first, actually, though, is we've got to talk about how we're getting our tile pattern on here. So I know Colleen had put it in the notes on how to create this kind of main tile shape that repeats. And then, this is the positive tile, and then it creates the negative shaped tile around it. So if you didn't have a chance to make it, it's just a 2.5 inch square, and then use a quarter to trace the semicircular bumps. Okay, and then you cut it out, and that's what you have. So this is my template that I'm going to use repeatedly on the surface. Okay, so I do think this is probably good to go. You can, on your piece, if you touch it and paint comes off on your finger, I'd wait a little bit more. If it doesn't, you're probably good enough to get started drawing. So this is the one I start with, the one kind of in the upper third of the painting. And I'm not really using a ruler. I'm kind of eyeballing it. I want the point to be in the center. It doesn't have to be perfect, because there's a little bit of leeway you can have as you do this. And I have a white charcoal pencil that is going to give a very faint line. This is probably going to be next to impossible for you to see on the screen. I can try and bring it real close for this part so you can see if it's gonna yeah, okay, I guess you can see that. But all I'm gonna do is just quickly kind of trace in this shape in a I think the word is tessellating pattern, right, where the pieces interlock. My mom was a teacher, and she was really into the concept of tessellating patterns. And so she had all these puzzles and things where different shapes would interlock and such. So that word tessellating, I remember it from her doing that. Okay, so now I come off to the right, and all I'm doing is I'm allowing a little bit of a gap between the points here because I want some room for my black marker that we're going to use at the end. And again, I'm not using a ruler, I'm eyeballing it. Doesn't have to be perfect. You can even see by my drawing, I'm getting my hand in paint, so I'm being kind of jittery with my pencil, but we're gonna paint over this and draw over it, so it's not that big of a deal. I just want a big enough, or I want enough of a line where I can, you know, have a sense of where I'm going to paint. Okay, so then I jump over to this side, and I'll move this over so you can see me do it over here. So far so good. My paint is dry enough to allow this to stick, but not so, you know, it's not wet. I mean, it's a little tacky, but it's not too wet to be doing this. So we lucked out. All right, now we're going to come up to the top, and you can start to see that negative tile, that negative space tile emerge, which I think is so cool. You know, 2 drawings for the price of 1, right? And then it's literally just filling in now this, the more you do, you may have to fudge it one way or another since we're not using a ruler. So if you feel like it's a little skewed, just move your tile shape wherever you need to make it look right. Like, again, if I had a ruler, it'd be way more precise, but it has kind of, I like that it's a little bit of a loose project where you can have a little freedom. So for example, this, if I look at my negative space, this would make a better shape, but that's too tight here. So my tips at the top are a little bit off, but that's okay, because I can also adjust that when it comes to the painting and then doing the marker. This isn't about perfection. It's about, you know, having fun with it and, you know, using the colors to create a neat effect. So we'll keep moving down. Now I come to the middle underneath my centerpiece, eyeball it in. Move it over just a touch.
So Marla, while you're stenciling,
Yeah.
Someone in the chat asked about soft body particularly,
Mm-hmm.
and how it differentiates from perhaps other acrylics. You want to just
Sure. Great question. So soft body acrylic is like a heavy cream texture. And what that allows is this really good covering power that we saw. You don't need a lot of color to cover a lot of area. Contrast that with the Liquitex heavy body, which I know when I first started painting, that's a set I got when I was a kid. I got heavy, they didn't call it heavy body back then, but I got a set of the heavy body color, and it was great for what I was doing. But I think that's what most of us think of when we think of, oh, I'm off screen, sorry about that. That's what most of us think of when we think of color, is that it's thick and it comes in a tube, right? That's the tradition of oil. So acrylics are the same, right? Well, we do have that thicker texture, what we call heavy body color, but that to me is more for creating brushstroke or heavy texture passages. You're using your money more effectively if you don't care about having a lot of brushstroke or texture. You'd be more effective to get soft body color for blocking in your large expanses, and then switch to a thicker texture like our heavy body paint for anything you want texture popping off the canvas. So that's why we have a soft body. It's a way of having a paint that spreads smoothly and evenly and reduces brush strokes. And again, that's economical because per ounce, you're going to get a lot more coverage than you would with thicker texture. But we have the heavy body for the painters who want that more oil-like kind of thick texture and impasto feel. So I'm not sure, please let me know if that answers it for them, Colleen, what the questions on the soft body.
I think that was great. So how would you compare that then to basics, Marianne? Is that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So basics is very similar in texture to soft body. In my experience with basics and soft body, they're very, very close. I would say that basics may be just a skosh or teeny tiny amount thicker, but it's pretty imperceptible. So if you have basics, you could certainly do this project with that. And it does this, it's similar. It will give you good covering power and reduce brush stroke. The thing to know about basics versus soft body, however, is that soft body has a much larger paint range. It's like 100 colors compared to basics has maybe 50, I'm thinking now. And
72.
what was that? What is
72.
it? Oh, 72. Sorry, 72.
72 basics now, yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. So that's a lot, but yeah, there's 100 in the soft body and 72 in the basics. But the main difference that you're getting when you pay for the soft body is you're getting more pigment load per color per ounce. So it's and you're also getting a few colors, I guess. I don't know what's the math, 30 some odd colors or 28 colors that basics doesn't offer. And a lot of that might be like, we have a color called cadmium free, anything, or cadmium, genuine cadmiums and genuine, and then our new cadmium free colors that aren't going to be available in basics. So you just get more choices and options in the soft body range. So I don't know if that helped add a little more detail for that artist.
That's great. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. All right, so we've got our piece sketched in. Now we get to start filling in. So to me, this is the real kind of, now we're getting into the zen, right? We've got all the shapes out, and it's kind of like the whole coloring page phenomenon, right? You get to fill in with paint. And so it's a nice way to work without feeling much stress, right? So I think I know I'm all about what's going to reduce stress. So I'm going to get the Quinacridone Crimson, and I'll just put a small amount out, a little over a quarter teaspoon, I suppose, because we're going to cover in a few squares with that. So let's go ahead and do that, our squares, tiles with that. So as I look at this piece, I know that this tile, second on the right, and not that one yet, that actually goes on top. So really we just have one that goes under, no, two. This one and this one are the Quin Crimson. So we're going to paint those two first. And you'll see that the Quin Crimson is more of a yellow shade red. It's bright and vibrant. And I'm just using a Filbert brush. If you have a, it's the Liquitex, as it rolls off, it's a size 4 Filbert. This is kind of a go-to brush for me, but if you have like a flat edge brush that you're more comfortable with, you can certainly use that. I just find that this size is good for a lot of the projects I do at this 9x12 scale. But, and I also, for this piece, I like how that rounded tip makes it really easy to paint in these arch shapes. And you notice I am not covering the white line as I'm painting. I want to leave a little bit of that guideline because I plan on drawing over that with the paint marker. Okay. So we're going to fill this in, and you'll notice too, since it's a transparent color, my brush stroke is going to show a bit. And so because it's letting that darker value blue show underneath. So I'm going to capitalize on that, and I'm going to do a little bit of, I'm going to make, what am I trying to say? I am taking care as to how I fill in the shape with my brush stroke. I'm kind of stippling a bit because I want that kind of vibrating texture to show through, if that makes sense. Because it's transparent, I'm letting that blue show through. So I am kind of being conscious about my brush stroking here. First, I cover it in, and then I kind of make the brush stroking a little prettier by making that uniform stippling. And so I'll do this tile here. And again, don't worry if it's, I hope you're not panicking about trying to get this done. This is going to be recorded, so you can always come back and check in if there's part you need refreshing on. But I want to get as close to done as I can for you. Okay, so stipple that on a little bit. All right, so that's the Quinacridone Crimson sections. It's also here, but I actually put the Quin Magenta down first, and then we're going to come back. Oh, you know what? I'm wrong. This is just the Quin Crimson. I put medium on these two, so actually I need to do that quadrant too. So let's, or not quadrant. Yeah, I guess it's kind of quadrant. Do this tile shape too. So let me do that. I was telling Colleen when I when I was looking at that again, I had to remind myself some of the layering that I did. I don't know if that happens to you guys, that you'll make a piece and you were fully in it, fully present, you knew obviously exactly how to do it, but then you look at it a year later, or, you know, even in this case, just a few months later, and like, wow, how did I do that? What colors did I use? I need to make sure I take notes if I need to reproduce it again. But I've done that with paintings I've had from college. We have one still in our house. I'm like, wow, I kind of don't remember how I even did that. So maybe it's just me and my memory. I don't know, but it's just kind of a funny phenomenon I've noticed. All right. So I'm filling this in, and this tile is going to get left as it is. So that's why I got confused. So this will just stay as it is. The other two have medium on it. Sorry that I'm brushing the camera as my phone as I do that. So I just kind of stipple that in. Okay, so looking at this again, I think those are all of the tiles with the Quin Crimson. Now this and this are the Quinacridone Magenta. So we're going to jump to that now. So I'm just cleaning off my brush. And while that happens, while I'm doing the magenta, obviously these tiles can dry. So we're going to do some layering on top. Now we're to the Quin Magenta. I'll put about the same amount of color, about 1/4 teaspoon. And going to start at the upper left with that Quin Magenta. And it's similar, but you can to the Quin Crimson, but hopefully even now you can see that the Quin Magenta, especially when it dries, it's going to visually blend with that phthalo blue underneath it. And it's going to skew a little bit more purple than the Quin Crimson will. So that's why it's nice to have such a large palette size, because even though these colors look quite similar in the mass tone right out of the tube, when you layer them or when you work with them, depending on, since they're transparent, whatever color they're sitting on will affect the way they reflect light. So over here is the Quin Magenta. So I'm going to fill in this shape. And continue with that. So it's like you're making your own coloring page or painting page almost. These are the shapes.
Or puzzle.
Or puzzle, that's true. Puzzle, yeah. You're filling it in on as you go. All right, and then I said this one at the bottom is Quin Magenta as well. So fill that in. And am I on the screen okay? I think y'all can still see all of that. Oh, and it's okay. See, I kind of blobbed that a little bit. If I wanted to, I'll just do this. I'll just use my finger to kind of take some of that off. And then I'm going to cover that with the marker. So that's also a built-in correction tool, that black marker that we're going to use at the end. So, all right, so I'm doing the same thing, filling in and kind of stippling to make kind of pretty brushwork, because it's gonna, that stippling effect, again, I've said it before, but I can really see it in front of me. It kind of makes the color vibrate. I don't know if that makes sense, but that the way the colors in your eye, they bounce off the back. The Quinacridone Magenta, that transparent color on that darker blue, when you see the different layering and that patterning, it just kind of shimmers or vibrates a little bit. All right, so I've got these colors blocked in. I'm going to clean my brush, and then what we'll do, I think what I want to do next is I want to put in the phthalo. Oh, and I forgot these. That's oh, but that's with Glazing. Okay, so I'm going to put in the phthalo here. Actually, here and here, because this one has glazed medium. All right, yeah, I got to tap myself through it here. So we're going to put in, I'm going to squeeze a little more of my phthalo blue out. I'll just put it up here. So that's about 1/8 teaspoon, I would guess. And I will use it up here. So this is where I'm just giving a deeper tone blue on top of that lighter. So I'm just painting over it. And even with that, when this dries, that transparent phthalo blue will probably still allow some of the background to show through. So that's what's nice about layering. It's very different than like impasto painting. And another one is better than another. They just give different effects. But this layering kind of process, I think gives exciting kind of different ways of seeing the color. Your eye becomes a big player in it because it's how your eye scans across the surface and sees how those colors interact with each other rather than just seeing mixed colors together on a surface.
Hey, Marla, can you zoom out
Yeah.
just a little bit?
Zoom out like that?
Yes, right there.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right. So now we're going to do the phthalo in the lower right. And again, I didn't add anything. My brush is a bit damp, but this is just phthalo right out of the bottle. That soft body phthalo blue. And I am brushing, I'm not glopping it on. I am, brushing it fairly thinly because I want that transparent effect. If I did it really thickly, it would be much harder to see the surface underneath. And then, so I think that's all of my phthalo right out of the container. So let's take a look now. I think what we'll jump to is, let's do phthalo with the glazing medium. So the cool thing about this project is we've got 3 different mediums we're going to use. One is the silver metallic, the gold metallic, and our glazing medium. These pieces, so I know if you bought the materials for this, you're going to get a lot of use out of them for other projects because, for one, a little goes a long way, but also so many pieces are highlighted by a little bit of silver accent or a little bit of gold accent. So I think they're really great things to have in the studio. Plus, the glazing medium is fantastic because it really extends the volume of your color. And what I mean by that is I can take that like $50 amount of glazing medium and just a small palette knife dab, like half a pea size, and put it in my glazing medium, that large amount of glazing medium, and then mix it. And it's like it's just magically increasing your amount of phthalo blue. Now, the trade-off is, and I really want this trade-off for this piece, I'm making that phthalo blue even more transparent. It's harder to see now because when glazing medium and any acrylic is going to be slightly milkier when wet than dry because of that water content. But especially something like the glazing medium, which will be, if you didn't add color to it, it would be crystal clear when dry. But when you add a little bit of phthalo blue, this is the stained glass kind of effect. You're adding a very even more transparent layer of color on top of an existing layer. So we're going to add this transparent glazing medium mix of the phthalo blue into this negative space tile here. So a little bit of color, whole lot of glazing medium. And something else the glazing medium will do too is it adds a glossy sheen. So that's something I also liked about this piece and in my own work as well. I love playing with different textures, gloss versus matte. So like this is more matte, this is more gloss. I like the iridescent versus the non-iridescent or the metallic. I love how all of those visual textures play on each other as well. So the glazing medium, when you mix it with color, it adds gloss. And a lot of painters like that anyways. I think that's a way that they feel like they can get their, if they're used to oils and they're switching to acrylics, that's a way you can get a little bit more of an oil-like luster or look. And then I think a lot of us just tend to gravitate towards something that has a glaze or a gloss to it. Okay. So that's that. And it's going to darken down a bit when it dries. I think that's and I also did this little corner of tile here with the glazed phthalo. So yeah, like Colleen said, it is kind of like a puzzle because I didn't want any of the same tile touching each other. So it's kind of fun figuring out how am I going to make that happen with my, and still make it look visually appealing. So of course you could make more pieces like this with a limited palette and come up with your own kind of puzzle of color. But anyways, this is what we're working with today, obviously. All right, so I have a whole lot. I poured out that much glazing medium just to kind of give you a sense of how much the color is increased with the glazing medium. Obviously, that's not something you have to do, but something I do if I'm done with a painting and I have a lot of excess paint, I will take a large palette knife and other paper and I will scrape that paint onto a paper, and then you can use that for collage. So I don't like to waste paint. Sometimes it has to happen for different projects, but just know that if you have wet paint, you can always brush it out on a piece of paper and then either paint on top of it or cut it into collage. I mean, there's lots of cool things you could do. Okay, so now I've got our silver metallic medium, and I think this one and this one are just the medium. And then I think that little area up here is also just the silver. So we'll squeeze some of that out and go ahead. I'll just kind of start the top and go down. So I'll just paint in this little shape fairly quickly. And then come down here to this piece. It's really striking. I love, these are new. They've been out for, Colleen, tell me, 6 months, longer. I'm bad with the passage of time.
I know, ever since COVID, it's like time is, it's hard to know the length of time, but I feel like, yeah, I feel like 6 months about, that's
okay.
You know,
yeah, it's
last year. Mm-hmm.
Sounds good to me. And plus too, I know Liquitex has been working on this so much longer than, you know, I would know. So it's like when it gets released versus when it was made and all that stuff. So who knows, or I don't know, but it's new and in the world of things. And so it's been really fun to play with. And it's different than, you might say, well, how is this different than a silver paint? Well, as a medium, it has more natural transparency. Plus it's meant to be, you can use it alone in this case, and that transparency will show through, but you can also easily mix it with other color. And rather than dominating it like silver paint could, it's just going to add kind of a kiss of silver to the color rather than coming in and kind of taking over, so to speak. So I find that the silver medium is also kind of a little bit of a less intimidating way to add metallic to your work, because while it is powerful in this piece, because I'm using it straight out of the container, and I'm not thinning it. If you thin it with a little bit of water or thin it with the glazing medium that we just used, you can get a very subtle shimmer of silver without having to go full glam if you don't want to, if that makes sense. So it's pretty versatile in that way. And so I think it's definitely well worth having handy for working. Okay, so I want to have my prettier brush stroke. So I'm kind of just stippling again. All right, so those are the two solid. Do I have any more silver? Okay, yeah, so the last silver I have is on the bottom left corner, and I'm going to add just a little tiny bit of the glazing medium to it. So I'll put a little bit out of the glazing medium, and I'm just going to dip my brush. Usually I use a palette knife, but this is a small enough amount that I can just mix them together. Oop, oh, some of my phthalo blue is coming out of my brush. I'll wipe that out real quick. And so now we've got, I guess you could say, 3 layers on top of this one tile. You've got the blue background, you've got the Quin crimson color, and now you've got the final layer of the silver medium mixed with some glazing medium. So this is its own unique tile because of all that layering. Think of like old houses where you see all the unique tiles. They go together, but they're all unique. I love that look. Okay. So, and again, when these dry, they darken down. They always look a little bit different, a little more prominent. All right. So now what's next? Oh yeah, so I forgot this one. So this is silver and then the Quin magenta on top. So we're going to go ahead and do this one real quick. Okay, get that in there. Brush, brush, brush. And I hope you guys are not feeling stressed by this, just trying to work quickly so I can get it as close to done as possible for you. And paint that in and brush it out. And this is one, since we're going to layer on top, I'll probably remove some of the color with my brush as possible. Because really the brush stroking is going to be that Quin Magenta on top. Okay, so got that in. Now let's see. That is in. Okay, now we've got some, I think one of the last, oh no, we've got the gold. Let's do the gold. So the gold goes on top of this, and in the corner. So the gold medium is cool. It's a little bit more subtle than the silver medium, I've noticed. And so it's so it very easily mixes with other color and adds just kind of that kiss of gold without dominating it. But you can see, especially on this darker value color in the blue, that the transparency of that gold medium allows that blue to show through. And so it just gives like it's a goldish piece of glass, a blue gold piece of glass is kind of that idea. And I'm just kind of pouncing my brush to get some interesting texture with the brush stroking. I'm working fast and loose here, but you get the idea. So pounce that in. Move this out a little bit. Okay, and then we'll do this one. You know, I think I had actually some phthalo under that to make it a little bit deeper. Let's do that real quick. I'll add some phthalo, actually some of my glaze phthalo. So if you're keeping up with me, I'm sorry, I had to kind of jump ship on that. I added a little bit of phthalo and that glaze phthalo because this gold is on top of a slightly darker phthalo color. So we'll paint that in and then let that dry. And use my finger there. Okay. Got that roughed in. And then now let's go to the Quinacridone Magenta. So that there's a glaze layer on top of the silver. There's also a glaze layer of the gold over here and a glaze of the gold. Maybe we'll do that first since I know these sections are dry. So I've already got my gold out. So I'm going to take the gold and just paint it on the Quinacridone Crimson. Okay, I love the gold on this darker red or deeper red. It's just really pretty. Very rich. I felt like this piece had really rich colors, which I like a lot. Jewel tones, just colors is, you know, whatever colors you use, they tend to evoke certain feelings, right? And to me, these just are pretty rich in texture. All right, visual texture. Okay, so now this red is touch dry, so I can add my gold here. You can see the key to doing a piece like this is jumping around, letting each section get touch dry, and working on a different one, and then just bouncing around, finishing out the layers as you need. But I love too how just by adding that gold, it's like I have, it's funny to me that I have so many different variations just by using the 3 colors along with the mediums. So we wouldn't think of them as mediums, we think of them as different colors, but we know because we're making them, all we're changing is mediums. We're not mixing a bunch of color, right? So when you look at the original piece, this tile, and this one are completely blank. So we're going to leave that blank. This just has the phthalo glaze. I'm just checking my work here, just get it close. I think what we need to do is add some glazing medium to the magenta and we need some gold here and some glaze. All right, so we'll do the gold down here. And then we're getting close to getting that marker done around there. Oh, this tile has a glaze section of gold and glazing medium. So we'll do that now because I've got gold in my brush. I might as well not clean it out. I'm going to put out a little bit of fresh glazing medium right next to my gold, just a small amount. And I will use my brush to mix it again for expediency's sake. And it's Just bringing out the blue. Yeah, it's the phthalo blue is a great color, but man, it can really take over your brush if it's not super clean. So this is where if I was trying to be super pristine, I'd probably get up and dump my wash water and make sure I could get it nice and clean. But for this piece, I don't think it's going to be a deal breaker. I don't think it's going to change the look to a great degree. Okay, so now I've got this thinner glaze layer of the gold. So it'll give a bit of shimmer in the reflected light, but it's not going to look dominant in gold. And so that's again why I think this piece is very stained glass like, because so much of it depends on the angle that you're viewing it. And so it could be a nice piece in your house if you wanted a kind of a piece where you walk by it a lot and can appreciate it from all different angles. Which I guess that might be true for any painting, but I know the whole sheen difference thing. If you have it in a corner that doesn't get a lot of light variation, you're not going to see some of the beautiful shimmer and sheen differences. Okay, so that one's complete. Got that. Now let's mix up some of the Quinacridone Magenta with the glaze medium. I have enough of the Quin Magenta out, and I think what I'll do is I'll just move this glazing medium to the side, or you could squeeze out extra if you wanted. But then I'll just take a dab of that Quin Magenta and use my brush to get a thinner glaze of that Quin Magenta. And we're going to put it here, down here. And we'll put it here. And where else? Oh, I need to put gold there. I got the blue there. And I think here was the last place I had it. And then in the center on the silver. So this is needs a little more dry time. So we're going to wait on that. We will do, I think I had one more than I need to do. I'm going to do the gold on top of the phthalo now. So that's the phthalo glaze on top of, I'm sorry, that's the gold glaze on top of the phthalo blue. So I'm going to clean my brush and go back to my gold glaze that I have here. Mix it with my brush, make sure, and then just feather in that gold. Oh yeah, it's still a little wet. So this is a case, guys, where if you have a hair dryer or something to help speed it up, you could do that. I'm just going to feather it in. And so it's mixing a little bit. And I'm going to try and just hover over the top with my brush. So I'm not mixing the color, but yeah, this is kind of the problem of trying to work a little quickly here.
Real-time challenges.
Real-time challenges, that's right. So you'll get the idea. And when you're working on your own, you can knock a hairbrush on it or something like that. Hair dryer on it, and try that out a bit. Because yeah, that's something to say too, which I neglected to say earlier. The glazing medium gives you a bit more working time, which is nice, except when we're on a time crunch, because it dries a bit more slowly than the color on its own. Okay, so that is what it is there. And again, all of these will look better when they dry. They'll look better when they dry because they'll darken down. So I'll just pop that there to give it a little visual interest. Okay. And then let's see this one, that's the gold glaze too. And then that's almost it. We'll just put the gold there. That'll be enough of a contrast to that one next to it. Okay, this was the magenta. I don't think I did that. Let me put that there. I think I did a lot of the magenta glaze. The magenta glaze on the edges. All right, now we need the Quin Magenta there. Let's see if it's dry enough. You know, it's not quite dry enough. So rather than kind of mess it up like I did there, just know that, because I want to get to the marker, just know if you want to get it just like this, this is the final tile. Colleen, what do you think? Is that a good idea just to mention what it is? Or do you want me to knock a hair dryer on it? What do you think?
I don't know, if you have one handy, that's fine. We still have 9-10 minutes. So if you wanted to take a stab at it.
I will do. I have like a little embossing tool here, so that's what I use instead of a hair dryer. So when it comes, can you hear me over this? When
Yes.
it comes to using a heat tool, always move the tool. Don't leave it in one spot like that. Always move it around. And ideally you want to, you want to keep it away from the surface as you can. I'm pushing it a little bit here, but I think even just that amount of heat got it touch dry enough where we can proceed, except for that part right there. I'll just use my finger. No, I guess that's okay. That's okay,
Actually
yeah.
good that that came up, Marla, because there were a few questions in the chat that I answered already, but they, people were
Cool.
to use hot hair dryers if they're not very patient to wait for it to dry.
Right. Yeah, so that's exactly, yeah, you don't aim it directly, you keep it moving, and don't do it for an hour at a time. It shouldn't take that long. Just check it frequently and it will get touch dry for you pretty quickly. All right, so let's do a little more glazing. Meaning I need to mix more of this, so I'll put a 1/4 teaspoon, and I've already got my Quin Magenta out, so I'll just take my palette knife and dab it in my Quin Magenta and mix it because I want enough to do justice to that tile. And mix that around, wipe off my knife, clean my brush, and now, and two, I'm not going to bear down really firmly. That's the other thing that I know you can't see because you can't see how hard I'm pressing, but I will tell you, I'm not really, like in the beginning, I was pressing hard on the prime surface. Now I'm just delicately placing the brush on the surface and moving it. I'm not scrubbing in. I'm very literally just painting it on. I'm not trying to scrub it or anything. And by doing it lightly, that's another way that I can kind of speed up the process because I'm not actively trying to disturb that silver medium underneath. And doing the short brush strokes can help too, because I'm not dragging a lot of color behind me. I'm just doing short brush strokes with plenty of color and medium. Okay. So that's pretty good, I think. We'll leave that there. And all right, so now what we can do, so this is a case too. Since we only have 5 minutes, I wanted to show more of the marker, but this is a case too where if you took a break, got a snack or something and came back, it would be easier because when you're using the marker, most of us are going to want to use it like any writing tool, and we'll probably put our hand down on the surface. So it's going to be a little tricky if it's kind of damp like this. But I want to show you on this piece. So when you do it, if you need to do this later, you have a good understanding of it. These are the Liquitex professional acrylic markers. It's acrylic paint in marker form. And so if you've ever used the old school kind of paint pens, it's that idea where it has a little bottle. Bubble. No, what's the word? Ball. Sorry, I don't know what that was. So hard. Has a little plastic ball in it that you can hear shaking up the paint. And then when it's new, it'll be a white nylon filament, but I've used this before. So what you do when it's brand new is you just take it on a surface and depress it into the palette paper or whatnot. Do it, or scrap paper. Do it slowly. You don't want to sit there and do it a ton of times because the paint could flood out. Just do it slowly and evenly until that nylon filament gets filled, and then you're ready to go. So even now that this was already, has been used, I still, when I start a new painting session, I like to depress it a few times to get that paint flowing out of the nib. And because I'm right-handed, I tend to start at the upper right and go out to the side and down. So that's what we'll do. Literally, we're just drawing in the outlines of the tiles. And this is where you can kind of make up any marks that are off. I am using the flat edge. I'm not using the point edge. I'm using the flatter part of the chisel, the wider part, I guess I should say. And it might be a little loosey-goosey since I'm not stabilizing my wrist on the surface. But if you wanted a thinner line, you could certainly use the point. I kind of like the drama of the thicker line, almost more like a lead line that you'd see in a traditional stained glass window. which, by the way, I used to do stained glass for like a summer job when I was in college, and it was a really cool thing to learn. So if that's ever something you have the chance to play with and learn, I think it's well worth it. It's the magic of cutting glass and having it do what you want it to do. So it's a pretty fun process. But then this is nice because you don't come away with a ton of finger cuts after. So it's a nice way to get the look without all the pain and agony that cutting glass actually can involve. Maybe that was just me not being too great at it, but I think that's actually is part of the whole stained glass deal. You get finger cuts. Okay, so you can see how this marker just goes quite easily on top of the paint. Do I need to zoom in a little bit? I can zoom in so you can see it happening closer. But it just very easily, it's covering up that pencil line from before. And I'm just using it to draw in. If I feel like my line got too thin, I can just mark over it. If you had a different color marker, like we do have a silver marker, that would be a neat color to use to get a different kind of look. And I blipped it there, but that's okay. So I just love, this is like, I don't know if you guys watch a lot of videos with artists doing work and they have like a taped edge around the rim. I love watching artists peel the tape back because I think I love the chaos of the painting then contrasted with that clean edge. I like that kind of dichotomy together. To me, adding the marker line is kind of like that. You see these loosey-goosey kind of rough edges, but then the marker line comes in here. And when you're more patient than I am right now, you can get that nice crisp edge, you know, kind of cleaning up that rougher shape. And you notice if the marker starts to run dry, all you have to do is depress it a few more times, get the paint flowing. We also have different nibs for the markers. They all come with this chisel nib, but if you like more of like that fine point, like other brands of markers will have where it's more rounded, and we do offer a set of rounded nibs that you can buy. It's really easy. You literally just use your fingers to pull this out and you replace it with the other nib that you want. And then if you're an artist who works more large scale, we have the markers in a wide size. That's, I don't know the dimensions, but it's quite like a very fat nib. But yeah, this is kind of that fun of kind of almost like dots to dots when you're a kid, where you're just moving the line work around and connecting things and cleaning things up. And so it's also a fun kind of relaxing part of this painting. Move up a little bit here. And the marker, of course, is, oh, that was a little blip, but the marker is, of course, fully compatible with acrylics because it is acrylic as well. You know, some artists like to have them handy just to say, just to sign their work. You know, they may not use a marker in their painting, but even if you just want to sign your piece without having to use a brush, they're nice for that as well. I've played with doing, I love drawing. And so I will, if I'm not in the mood to get out my, you know, my palette and paints, I like playing with the markers because you can, it's using your drawing skills, but you're getting the vibrant acrylic color, and they're they're a lot easier to transport than a full painting setup, right? They're as transportable as any other marker for the most part. All right, so again, I'm going fast and loose. You can take more time with it and get it a little cleaner than this, and then this is still kind of juicy. This one little, I guess I added too much. But Colleen,
while you're finishing here, Marla, I just wanted to mention to everybody that in your email tomorrow, you'll receive a survey, and that's how we gauge, you know, how much you're liking the classes, and maybe even if you leave a comment, you can see any other type of classes that you would like us to do. So if you wouldn't mind filling that out when you receive it tomorrow, that would be much appreciated.
Yes, okay. So we did it a couple minutes over, but I think that this will be good if you needed to refresh an area, at least you can see it on there. And you can see too, my line work in this one is thicker than I did over here. That was partly just being a little rushed, but you could see how too, if you did a whole bunch of these and you planned your tile shape out, you could do several pieces in different colors and create different kind of diptychs or triptychs or whatever you want to create. But yeah, I hopefully this will be something that you feel like you could do on your own with different colors as you wanted. So Felicia, would you turn it around so I can be face to face? And then guys, did anyone have a chance to make one today as we were working? If you did, I'd love to see it. If not, I totally get it. This was a speedy demo, but yeah, this would be a good rainy day project or a project that you could do if you just have some time on your hands that you want to get a neat piece. I've done a larger scale piece as well. And I was telling Colleen that I think it would be great to do an even bigger piece, like in an entry room, something like that, because it's abstract, but it's not, I don't know, it still has like a interior design kind of feel, right? So I think it has those pluses for it. But thanks so much for being here with us today. And as always, if you have questions, just you can reach out to me directly on my page or through the TFAC-NA, or, you know, I'm sure if you have questions that you can get it to me that way. But hopefully that was informative, and I'll look forward to seeing you at the next class. I actually have a class next on,
yes.
On the 8th. It's let me show you what we're going to do.
You show, yes. On the 8th, Marla will be doing an abstract ovals class. Oh, let's see if I can grab the link real quick.
So this is, oh, yeah. Here, I'll show you this way. So this is the piece we'll be doing. It looks similar, and as far as it's a bunch of shapes, and it is layering, but I don't think it's going to be quite as tight as the one today. So, and it's a lot more free form. So this is what we'll be doing in that class next week. So hopefully you'll be able to join there. I'm so glad to hear. Thanks for your comments. Well, thanks a lot. And Colleen, did you want to say anything, or was that it? Colleen, did you have anything you wanted to say, or?
I think she's trying to find the link.
I was going to just grab the class link.
Oh, the link. Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah.
I can't seem to find it.
And I am as well. So I am going to try to pop that in right as we speak. And so this is your March 8th class.
Same time. Same
Next Tuesday, same time.
Yep.
It is the Liquitex. I am so sorry. I'm trying to do multitasking.
Right? Yep. Behind the scenes, trying to get.
Yes. There you go.
Oh, thanks, Felicia.
You are so welcome.
Thank you.
And thank you, everybody, for joining us. I think, Marla, I think everybody appreciated all your information, especially about the medium that a lot of people may not have seen, and now they might be inspired to create all sorts of things with them. So
cool. That's one of my goals, be inspiring for sure. So that makes me happy. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.